I'm Melanie, and I started working with Yota many years ago when I first became a manager. I was pretty overwhelmed back then, and the work with Yota really helped me to gain the confidence that I deserved to be in the position I was in. And that had a really big impact on my work relationships, my career progression, and even my work-life balance.
So can you tell us a little bit about what was going on for you? What prompted you to reach out to me, to find the coach, to ask for some help?
Yeah, it's actually funny because I never wanted to be a manager. I never thought that I should be a manager. Maybe also based on the experiences that I myself had at work, I just didn't feel like I was a good fit for this role. So I always was someone who was rather a listener than a speaker. I was someone who would rather, stay backstage rather than on stage, be a little bit behind the scenes. I feel really comfortable behind the scenes. I just never aspired to be a manager. I then ended up working in a company that was growing really fast, and the opportunity presented itself. I think I panicked, I grabbed it, and then I was just completely overwhelmed because, in my head, I was like, that isn't for me. So in that moment, it almost felt like an accident. So it felt like someone made a mistake. And I worked really, really, really hard because I didn't want them to realize they made a mistake. I had this idea that a manager needs to know it all. They need to do it all. They need to step in whenever their team can't do it. So I took a lot of workload. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I did a lot of trainings. I did a lot of reading. And I also looked into coaching, which turned out to be the most impactful support that I got because it was so tailored to me, not necessarily even to me as a manager, but to me as a person. And I think coaching just really helped me to grow into this role as a manager, to develop my own leadership style, to feel confident, and then to also give that to the people I worked with.
I am really glad that you're mentioning about how you were feeling in the beginning and how you might thought you wouldn't be the right person to be a manager or a leader, but that actually has changed. And I think a lot of people would resonate with that. A lot of people might not feel ready to take on this responsibility because eventually it is a career change. You are transitioning from individual contributor to a management role, which is very, very different skill set. And I would love for you to share a little bit about your journey. What advice would you give to maybe even women that they're struggling to find their own style within a male-dominated industry, but in general, everyone who is transitioning into a management or leadership position and they don't know how to bring themselves into that?
Yeah, so for me, when I became a manager, I think I had just one thought on my mind, which was, I need to do everything right. I can't do mistakes. I need to know all the answers to all the technical questions, all the answers to all the HR questions, career development questions. When my team says, I have too much work to do, I have to be the one going in saying, I will take it for you. It's okay. I had the feeling I could never show a moment of, I'm also struggling, or I feel not great today. And when I started coaching, I wanted to be a better manager. But then I think really my coaching journey was about realizing that this understanding of a better manager was wrong, maybe even dangerous, to like my mental health, also my career progression. It wasn't really empowering my team. It wasn't empowering myself. So I think coaching for me was a lot about realizing that my management style can be very different from I need to do everything right. Because I think what people really need is that a manager gives them a safe space, that a manager supports them by showing them it's also okay not to always be at 150%. Doing yourself can look different every day. They don't need someone who does the work for them, but they need someone who helps them realize they can do it their way and it's perfectly fine the way they do it. And yeah, just someone to let them be themselves, because this is when people, I think, can be their best. And then through that, I gained a lot of confidence, and I also managed to grow in my career pretty quickly. So after a couple of years, I got promoted to director. And that was, again, a very big change for me, because then I transitioned into a role where I managed other managers. And these people were in the exact same position I was in a couple of years ago because they too were first-time managers. So I was actually pretty happy that I did not put this pressure on them that I put on myself at the beginning by giving them the impression they have to do everything right. They have to be perfect. They can never be sick. They can never struggle. But I really think that by treating myself with more kindness and respect, maybe, I also helped my team to treat themselves with that amount of kindness and respect and to treat each other with that amount of kindness and respect. And I think we really managed to build a really nice team culture through that, where it's not always about 150% performance and no mistakes are allowed and you're like a machine and you need to be good at everything and you need to be good at the metrics and public speaking and everything. Like, it's okay. You have your strengths, you have your weaknesses. We can do this together. So I think this was kind of the vibe I was going for. And we ended up having a really nice team in this scenario. So we ended up being a team of over 20 people with a really strong bond and people just supporting each other and being kind to each other. And what I realized through that is when we change the way we treat ourselves, we can change organizations as well, because this sets an example for other people. They might change the way they treat themselves as well, and then they change the way they treat others. And through that, it just has a knock-on effect, and you change organizations, but also people's lives through that. And I find that very beautiful. I think what I realized is that by having a leadership style that is really built upon kindness, upon empathy, upon empowering people to bring their full selves to work, that does not compromise on performance.
Can you share a moment where you felt like through our coaching journey was a breakthrough moment, something that really you remember and made a big difference for you at the time?
I think it's a piece of advice you gave me. You can learn a lot about yourself through the reactions you're showing in certain situations. So, for example, when you are presented with feedback and you have a really, emotional reaction to it, it usually is because there's something true in this feedback and you're just somehow hesitant to take that on. And I think that's so powerful because it gives you control over how you react to things, because you can never control the things that are coming your way. But when you can control how you deal with them, it sets you up for success, because then you can make sure that you put your energy where it serves you, and you can use challenges to learn something about yourself. And I think that's really, really awesome. And it really changed also how I handle my personal relationships even, So every time I'm like, okay, I'm having a reaction to that. What is really going on here? And so I just learned how to deal with difficult situations much, much better.
Also, I think you talk a lot about mindset shifts, and I think that was very present in the work that we did together. What was the biggest mindset shift? So you did talk a little bit about how you wouldn't see yourself as a potential leader, but then you did. But is there anything else that is coming up for you and you think it would be useful to share with the people who are watching this video?
Yeah, I think especially in the tech industry, there's a really high focus on performance and output. And I think that there's often a culture of you have to do a lot, you have to put in a lot of hours, a lot of work in order to be successful. And that often creates a vicious cycle because everyone around you sees, oh my God, this person is working so much. I need to do the same in order to keep up, in order to be successful. And then, it's just a knock-on effect. That was something that definitely happened to me as well. And when you and I first met, one of the reasons I felt quite overwhelmed is because I had no work-life balance, because there was very little life in this balance and just a lot of work. And I think that impacted my well-being, but also I think my ability to be a good manager, because I simply didn't have the headspace. I was in a really weird mind space back then. So I think shifting this and just accepting or even embracing the fact that if you focus on the right things, you can make a big impact. You don't have to focus on everything all at once, but it's really okay to take your time as a resource that's really valuable, it's really precious, and put it where it can make the biggest impact. And people get more motivated, people have more space for creativity. And it's just a complete shift in how the team operates and how everyone feels at work.
There's a question, I'm really passionate about empowering women in the industry. I am a woman in the industry. I work for so many years in tech, especially talking to a woman who has stepped up in a leadership position and got one promotion, then another promotion, then another promotion. What is a piece of advice that you would give to other women within the industry or to your younger self?
An advice I would definitely give to my younger self is embrace the fact that you earned the position you're in and don't act like you don't. Because I was acting a lot like I don't earn it. And that had a really negative impact on me at work and in my life.
What is the number one thing that you think coaching helped you do that you couldn't do before?
The number one thing coaching helped me do is to go from self-doubt to self-belief in a pretty short period of time. I'm not 100% there yet. I don't know if it's healthy to be, but I think I'm like at 70%, but I came from 70% self-doubt. So that's a long way. And I think through that, I am a much happier person at work. I feel more fulfilled. I feel more confident. And I think also, I hope that I can give this feeling back to my team as well, and that they feel the same.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else, just leaving some space, anything else that you would like to say, you would like me to know, you would like people to know?
I guess I just want to say thank you for being with me on that journey for many years. We were going through a lot of ups and downs together, I feel. We had a lot of fun. And up until today, I still have a little Yota sitting on my shoulder. And when I'm in a situation where I'm not really sure how to deal with it, I'm like, okay, Yota, what would you say? What's your advice? So this is the impact you had. After all these years, you're still sitting on my shoulder.